Okay, hello everyone. Good morning. This is Shelly for today, and we are now with our 17th week, day 2. So, good morning and welcome to our lesson for Maritime English. Okay, so we'll start with our lesson, and I will just give you a brief review about our topic or about our discussion last Monday. Okay, so we started with the different types of vessels. And the first one was the oil tanker or the so-called petroleum or the oil tanker. Okay, so for now, the second topic or the second type of vessel is about the bulk carrier. Okay, so with regards to our topic last Monday about the oil tanker, um, just for a review, it is all about a petroleum tanker. So as we said, that it's a special type of vessel, okay, for the transport of bulk oil. All right, so this type of vessels is a or plays a very important role in the entire world, all right, because it supplies energy, all right, for bulk products. Okay, now it also crucial for the global automotive industry and for the transportation of vehicles from the manufacturing plants to different distribution centers and markets worldwide. Okay, now for our second type of vessel, which is a bulk carriers, or it's also called the giants of the sea. Okay, so when we say bulk, or it's often called bulker. Okay, this is also a special type of vessel. Okay, or a special type of a merchant ship. All right. So this bulk carrier is designed, all right, to transport unpacked dry bulk cargoes. Okay? And what are those bulk cargoes? So these are the grains. All right? The grains that we eat every day. All right? Grains, then it's refined to or it's purified and then converted to rice. Okay? And then the coal. Okay? So when we say coal, this is a black, brownish like substance that that we burn for energy. Later, I will show you the example or a picture or the image of what is a coal. Actually, this coal are this coal came from the plants, okay, the died or decayed, I mean the decayed plants, okay, million years ago. Okay, so the pressure, the heat that turns the plant into let's say plant matter that turns into coal, okay, that we use today, all right, in order for us to generate power and of course electricity. This is very important. That's why transporting this type of cargo using this bulk carrier is very important worldwide. Okay, and we also have ore. Okay, unpacked. Dry bulk, the ore. Okay, and we also have steel coils. Okay, those are examples, and cement. Those are examples of cargo that bulk carrier transports to different countries worldwide. Okay, so as I said, bulk carriers, these are the giants of the sea, meaning giants, big, it's large, it's huge, gigantic. Okay, big. All right. So, yes. So, this, as I said, yeah, merchant ship, the bulk carrier. This is also called a merchant ship. Okay, this is designed to transport unpacked bulk cargo. This is an example of a cement. This is unpacked. Okay, all right. So, okay. Oh, yeah. These are the types of bulk cargo. Okay. All the cargoes that that bulk carrier transports. Okay. Like, yes, as I mentioned earlier, the iron ore, and then the coal, then the grain, this one. The, or example for this is wheat and corn. Okay. The cement. Okay, cement, this one, and other materials, cargo materials. Okay, so this one is a grain also. All right, the cement, the iron ore or coal. Okay, so these are the different types of cargo materials that a bulk ship or a merchant ship carries. Okay? So let's discuss this one by one. Okay? The different types of cargo of a bulk carrier. Okay. Yes. The importance of bulk carriers. Okay. So when we say important, okay, this is essential. We need this every day in our lives, worldwide, wherever you are, wherever you're, what country you are, you will need the products that bulk carriers transports or carries. Okay? Essential for transporting raw materials for industry and food. All right. Why industry? Because it carries what? Different types of coal materials. All right. As I said, coal materials, these are decayed products or decayed materials, plant materials for million years ago that is stuck or stored um, stored underneath the earth, and then it's purified, it's refined, and then that turns into power. And it also uh, it serves as um, what you call this, it serves as, or it generates electricity for all of us. Okay, because without, of course, this energy or electricity, we cannot continue with our daily lives. Okay, so that's why the products or the cargoes that bulk carriers transports is very essential. Okay, very important. All right, so we have these types of bulk carriers according to its size. Okay, size. So for the bulk carrier, we have number one, the handy size. Okay, handy size. All right, which means handy size. It ranges from 15,000 to 35,000 deadweight metric tons. That's how heavy a handy-size type of bulk carrier. Okay? Um, this is the smallest type. All right? Or okay. But some says that uh handy size also is approximately around 40,000 or even 50,000 dead weight. Okay, so this is categorized as the smallest type of bulk carrier. Okay, it says that it's known for its versatility and ability to access a wide range of ports. Maybe because of its size, it can travel, okay, to many small ports only. Okay, so, yes, this is an example of a handy-sized type of bulk carrier. All right, this one, a handy-size. As I said, it's approximately 35,000 to 40, 15 to 35,000 dead weight. But some also says that there's handy-size that has approximately 35 to 50,000 dead weight. All right. So, the second type is a Handy Max. It's called Handy Max. If we have Handy Size, we have Handy Max. All right. So, um, this is a medium size type of bulk carrier. Yes, which is just a little larger than the handy size, but it's smaller than Panamax type. Okay, so it says that their size allows them to access many or different ports, okay, including those with some size restrictions, okay, because there are ports that has restrictions like they can only allow type of vessels that are only from 50,000 below dead weight, okay. So for the Handy Max, this is okay for the different ports that can only accommodate, okay, that can only accommodate up to 50,000 deadweight type of vessels, okay. Any type of vessels for as long as it's 50,000 below. All right, so Handymax is okay. It can access many ports. Okay, like the handy size. Okay. So next, all right. So this is the type of Handymax. Okay. So this one, they can carry a variety of dry bulk cargoes. Yes. All right. So, like the iron ore, the coal, like the cement, like the steel. Yes, fertilizers. All right. These fertilizers are used for different kinds of plants and for the animals also. All right. And the grains. Okay. So this is an example of a handy max. All right. So we have number one type is handy size. We have handy max. Okay. The medium size. And the third is Panamax. I'm pretty sure everyone you heard this type of bulk carrier. Panamax bulk carrier. This one is an example of a Panamax bulk carrier. Alright? So, also, this is a medium-sized type of bulk carrier. Alright. But by the word itself, but the name itself, it says that Panamax. Alright. This is designed, alright, to transport only or to transit or can or passes through the Panama Canal. Okay? Now, how heavy this one, the Panamax bulk carrier? It ranges from 60,000 to 80,000 metric tons. Okay? This is a little bit heavier than the Handy Max. Okay? Because, as I said, the handy size is around 15,000 to 35 or up to 50,000 metric tons. The second one is the Handy Max, which is 50,000 but smaller than Panamax. Yes, because Panamax is approximately 60,000 to 80,000 metric tons. Okay? Now, the very important description for Panamax is that this is designed, all right, to to transit the Panama Canal. That is why it is called Panamax. Okay? Now, all right. Another, we have Cape size, the fourth one. Okay? We have number one, handy size. We have Handy Max. We have Anframax. And we have Panamax. So, we have now Cape size. This one is an example of a Cape size. Okay? So, this is a large, big type of bulk carrier. Okay. The idea for this or the best description for this is that this is too large, okay, to transit, okay, the Panama Canal, okay, or the Suez Canal. This type of bulk carrier, Cape size, cannot pass through the Panama Canal. Okay? Because of its size. Why? Because it's over, alright, 150,000 metric tons and can also reach up to 400,000 metric tons. Could you just imagine how big a Cape size? Okay? So, the Panama Canal can only accommodate, okay, or can only transit vessels or type of vessel that is up to this one, 60,000 to 80,000. So this Panamax is twice as big for the Cape size, right? So you really cannot transit through Panama Canal because it's too large. It's huge. It's big. Okay? So, and for this, the only advantage for the Panamax is that they can carry very large quantities of cargo. Okay? They can. So, uh, making them save, okay, for long distance transport of raw materials. Okay? Meaning, why this is, why it is advantage. okay, to other type of vessels. Why? Because since this is very large, this is very big type of bulk carrier, so it can carry, all right, large quantities, okay, of cargo. So you can save, you can the what you call this, the 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 renter, all right, the renter of the ship, or the one using the ship, this type of vessel can save because it can load, all right, large quantities of cargo. So you can save basically, okay, for the one trip, for the one voyage. Like for example, it will travel from the US to Asia, and then you can load large quantities of cargo for the bulk carrier. So it's really an advantage, okay, for the cape size. All right. So yeah. It can only travel for deep water, okay, due to its size, okay. They can only also dock at deep water terminals, okay. You cannot just dock for shallow, shallow water ports, yeah, because of its size. So that's only the disadvantage of this for the cape size. But aside from that, there are only restrictions, of course, when it comes to port, or for the port rules or terminals, okay. But from the other way around, from the other side of the of the situation, it's economical, really, because of its size. All right. So, yeah. So the specific routes for this, the common, okay, it includes Brazil, okay, Australia, South Africa, and then to China, okay, and South Africa to Europe, okay. So uh the type this type of vessel, this cape size, uh travel around the Cape of Good Hope or Cape Horn, okay, to travel between oceans, deep water terminals, okay, due to its size. All right. So, all right. So, if we have cape size and we thought that it's the largest, we still have two, all right, large types of bulk carriers. Okay? We have this very large ore carrier, wherein we call it VLOC. Okay? And we also have an ultra large ore carrier. What we call it? ULOC. Okay? So we have VLOC and we have ULOC. All right. So let's discuss the difference. All right. This refers to the largest types of bulk carrier. This one. Okay. Which is specifically designed, okay, for the transport of vast quantities, okay, of iron ore over a long distance voyage. Okay? Now, the dead weight for this is around 200,000 to 400,000 metric tons. Okay? So, we thought that cape size is the largest but it's not. We still have two more types that are very large. Okay? For the cape size, it's 150 to 400. But for the very large port carrier, VLOC or the ULOC, it's more than, it's 200 to 400 metric tons. Okay? So, yeah. Okay. So, let's have a short review for that. We have the types of bulk carriers. For number one, we have the handy size. We have the handy max. We have the Anframax for the third. The fourth type is the Panamax. All right. And we have the fifth type is the Cape size. And we have the VLOC and the ULOC. So we have 7 types of bulk carriers. All right. So, as previously discussed, there are specialized bulk carriers wherein this is designed for a specific cargo types for operational requirements. Okay? So, there are number one, we have geared bulk carrier. Okay? So, specialized bulk carrier. Okay, again, this is designed, okay, for only two specific cargo types. Okay, for operational requirements. Okay, now what are those types? We have number one, the geared bulk carriers. This one. Okay? Now, when we say geared, all right, can you see this object here? This is a crane, all right? Um, this is responsible for handling, okay, the cargo, all right? Now, why it's called geared bulk carrier? Because it has this. It has their own crane. Okay? Typically grab cranes. They call it grab cranes. Or they also have other cargo handling equipment. Alright? Such as conveyor belt. Okay? So, when we say geared bulk carrier, it can load and unload cargo, all right, independently without relying on port facilities. Because this type of geared bulk carrier, uh, as mentioned, that it can do their own mobilization, all right, unloading the cargo, loading the cargo, because they have their own port facilities. Okay, no, I'm sorry, they have their own crane. Okay, which is used for loading and unloading. Okay, so if we have geared, we also have a gearless bulk carrier. Gearless, all right? Meaning this one is the gearless type of bulk carrier. Okay. This type of carrier purely rely on shore-based equipment. Okay? They purely rely on shore-based equipment because they don't have their own cargo handling equipment or cranes. Okay? That's why it's called gearless. Okay? So, if you have geared, which has their own cargo crane, they have their onboard cranes or cargo handling equipment. But for this, they don't have. They purely rely on the shore-based equipment. Okay? And then we have bulk carrier structure and parts. Okay. We call it the overall structure. Okay? We have the hull. We have the hull. We have the deck. We have frames. We have bulkheads. We have double bottom and tanks. Okay? So, these are the overall structure. Okay. The overall structure of a bulk carrier. Now, we will discuss this one by one. Okay? So, in order for everyone to have an idea for this. Okay? Because these parts or, these structures are important. Okay? These are all important. So, we have here the hull. Okay. Hull is designed for, yes, carrying large volume of bulk cargo. This one. Okay. The inner side of this. Okay. The hull structure. The hull. Okay. Uh, this is a part of the ship which is located, of course, at the front side, okay, of the ship. All right. So, this is designed for carrying large volume of dry bulk materials. All right. And in the structure, in the hull structure, there's a keel. Okay. This is the main structural member of this one. This is the keel. This one. Okay, there are different types. Okay, there is a very thin keel, there is a little bit larger, and this one. Okay, this is the main, all right, structure or the backbone. Like for our body, we have our spine. That is the backbone of the human being. And for the ship, we have we have this one. This is the backbone. Okay, this one and this one. Running along the center line of the bottom plate. Yes, this one. That is the backbone. It looks like our spine. Okay, for us. Okay, humans. Okay, because if we don't have the spine, we cannot stand up. We cannot do anything. That's why it's also called the backbone of a human being. But for the ship, it's called keel. Yes, it is also very important. Why? Because of the strength and the stability, okay, of the ship. It's called keel. Okay? Main structure of the ship or the backbone. Okay? So without this, well, the ship will not what? You know what will happen. All right? So, the second structure, all right, we have internal structure which is called the frames. Yeah, of course, the frames that provide support and the shape of the hull. We have frames, of course. This one, those are the frames. All right. Uh, as compared to human, it's also like our bones. Okay? Our bones. So for the ship, it's called frames. Internal structure. Okay? So for number 3, we have shell plating. Okay? Alright. So when we say shell plating, it forms the watertight or the outer skin of the hull. Like us, we have our skin. Okay? This is also compared for the ship, it's the shell plating. Okay? Now, since shell plating is the outer part of the hull, it should be watertight. Okay? It must be strong. Okay? It must be strong enough to withstand hydrostatic pressure. Pressure coming from the water, from the sea. Alright? And the wave, of course. The impacts of the wave. And other external forces. So, these shell plating, okay, these are made of steel plates, okay, that are joined together, okay, to provide a primary protection against water pressure or water impact. Okay, again, shell plating is very important also. It is made of steel plates, all right, that are joined together, all right, to provide protection for or from the water impacts, from the wave, or from other external forces, and it should be watertight. Okay? We can compare this as to our skin. Alright. So, what are the main parts? Okay. So, we have cargo holds. We have hatch covers. We have superstructure. And we have propulsion system. Okay? We also have steering gear. Okay? We also have a mooring and anchoring part. Alright? And we have cargo handling gear. Okay. And we have a ballast system. And lastly, we have a bow and stern. Okay. All of this, excuse me, all of these are the main parts of a bulk carrier. Okay. So, I will discuss it one by one to all of you. All right. So, we'll start with cargo holds. Okay. When we say cargo holds, these are the large, yes, this one, large, and it's empty spaces. Okay. Within, okay, it's inside the hull of a bulk carrier. Okay. That is specifically designed to carry the dry bulk cargo. Okay? All the cargoes are put in here. Okay? That is what you call cargo holds. This is very large. Alright? And it should be watertight. Okay. So, no water can pass through here. Alright? It should have, it should be watertight because these cargo holds carry bulk, dry cargo. All right, this one. Okay, we have on top of that, we have hatch covers. All right, so we have cargo holds inside, and on top of that, it should have hatch covers. All right, this one, this one on top, all right, these boxes here are the hatch covers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Depends on the type of cargo. Alright? Or how big the cargo, the type of bulk cargo is. Alright? But for this, it has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 hatch covers. Alright? So, this one should be watertight. Okay? Now, this is very important. Why it should be watertight? Because this part here, these hatch covers, okay, are the ones protecting your dry cargo. Okay? Whatever weather you will encounter while traveling or while sailing, okay, it should be protected. Your cargo must be protected because you are carrying dry bulk cargoes. Okay? So, it should be watertight, preventing water from coming in or entering these holds. Okay? Is that clear? All right. So, for the third type of for the third structure type, we have suprastructure. We called it suprastructure. Okay, this is only for the bulk carrier, all right? Suprastructure. So we have already hull, we have cargo holds, and the third part is the suprastructure. All right. So this is built, all right, on the main deck. Okay, this one. And it is usually towards the back part. Okay? Wait, I'll show you. I'm sorry, it's so far. It's too far already. Okay. Anyways, all right. The stern or the rear of the ship. Okay? This one is the suprastructure. All right. So, suprastructure, all right, houses the navigation bridge. Okay, I'm pretty sure you know about navigation bridge or the wheelhouse wherein um, this is the navigation center also. It's called navigation center, navigation bridge. This is where the steering wheel is placed. The radar, all the computers, okay? The steering wheel, okay? This is where the ship is steered and controlled. All right? Also, it houses the accommodation. When we say accommodation, it's where the crew sleeps, okay? The living quarters of the crew. Yes, including the cabins. You have your mess rooms and your recreational areas. Okay? That is what suprastructure, that is where the accommodation is placed in the suprastructure. And also, you have this engine room. All right. This is also located at the stern. Of course, the main engine is there. The generators, and other machinery for propulsion and power. So when we say propulsion, okay, this is like this is a method. Okay, this is a method or a system. This one, used to create a movement. All right, for the ship, or the movement, the forward movement. All right, of the ship. Okay, so the engine room, we have, this is located at the rear portion or the stern part of the ship. You have the main engine, you have there the generator and other machineries. Okay, so uh yeah, for the superstructure, you can see the navigation bridge, the accommodation, and the engine room. Okay, so propulsion is the next part. All right. So, yeah, as I said, propulsion, it includes the main engine, we have the propeller, and the shaft that connects. Yeah, it's what makes the ship move. Yes, this is very important also. All right, propulsion system. This one is the propeller, the number 7. This one is the propeller. Okay, this is the shaft. Okay, this makes the ship move. Okay, so whenever there's something wrong with this or this one or other parts of the engine, oh my, it's gonna be a big problem. Okay, so this includes the main engine propeller. Okay, and this one is the shaft, wherein this one is connected to the propeller. All right, that is the propulsion system. All right, so we also have the steering gear. Yes, of course, steering gear. This is located at the stern or the back part also, because basically the suprastructure is located at the stern part or the back part of the ship. Okay, where in the navigation center or the bridge, the accommodation, and the engine room is located. All right. So in the steering gear, it includes the rudder, and the mechanisms to turn it, allowing the ship to steer. Meaning to steer, whether you are going to turn it to the right, all right, turn it to the left. Okay, that's the purpose of the steering gear. Okay, so this is located at the back part of the ship. Okay, so we also have the mooring and anchoring equipment. Okay, let's discuss that one by one. Okay, when we say anchor, this one, of course, this is the logo of a seafarer. This one is the anchor. This is heavy, of course. Okay, that is dropped to the seabed, of course, to hold the ship in place. Okay, like this one, anchor. Number 2, we have the winches. All right, the winches is a mechanical device. All right, this one used for controlling the tensions of the ropes or the wires. Okay, this part is very strong, the winches. Okay, so this one helps to pull, all right, to pull or lift heavy things. Okay, by using a rope or a cable. Okay? This one. So, this should be always checked. Alright? If it's functioning well. Okay? The winches. Okay? So, the mooring lines. Alright. Mooring lines. This one. The blue one and the red one. Those are the mooring lines. Alright. These are ropes, yes, or wires. Alright. Wherein, this is used to secure the ship um, whenever you dock. Okay? Whenever you dock. Okay. So, mooring lines are the ones responsible in securing the ship. Alright. While the anchor is responsible to hold the ship in place. Alright? This one. So, they have different functions. This one to secure the ship, and this one is to hold the ship in place. Alright? So, mooring, meaning the primary purpose of this is to, the mooring lines, the primary purpose is to prevent, okay, the ship from moving freely. Alright? Maybe because of the waves, or the current, or the wind, and of course, other forces exerted during cargo operations. Alright? So again, mooring lines are the ones responsible for securing the ship. Okay? Now, when we say mooring, the primary purpose of that is to prevent the ship from moving. Alright? From moving freely due to maybe for the wind, for the waves, for the current, alright? And other forces during cargo operation. Okay? And we have bitts and bollards. Okay. This is smaller type of a winch. Okay? The bitts and the bollards. But still, it's strong. Alright? It's a strong post on the deck. Yes. Also used for mooring lines. Yeah, this one is the mooring line. Alright? It should be strong. And this should be checked regularly if it's functioning well, if it's still stable, if it's still strong. Okay? So, these are the bits and bollards. Alright. So, let's continue with the parts of a hull. Okay. We have here the cargo handling gear. Okay. So, when we say cargo handling gear, this is only for small bulk carriers. Okay, like handy size and handy max. Okay, this type of bulk carrier, the handy size and the handy max, okay, they have their own cranes for loading and unloading cargo. But for the larger vessels, alright, for the larger vessels like the Cape size and the VLOC and the ULOC, they usually rely on shore-based equipment. They don't have cranes. Because of its size, they cannot maybe accommodate to have a crane, additional crane. Okay? That's why they purely rely on shore-based equipment. But for the smaller bulk, they have their own cranes. Alright? For loading and unloading cargo. Alright? And we have the ballast system. Yes, I'm very sure uh, each and everyone have an idea about this. Okay? This ballast system. Okay. This one wherein the water is pumped in. Alright, here. So this one is the ballast tank. Okay? So ballast system is a network of tanks. Yes, you pump, there's pipes on it, there's valves on it. Why this is important? Because ballast system, all right, controls the ship's stability. Okay? All right? The trim, what they call it sometimes, trim and stability. Okay. Wherein the angle at which the water sits. Okay? Sits in here. And the draft. Okay? This is the hull. Alright? And we're in the depth of the hull below the water line. Okay. That is the ballast system. Okay. Again, a ballast system. This is a network of tanks. Okay. There's also a pump. There's also a pipe in there. And there's also a valve there. Valves. Why? To control the trim and the stability of the ship. Alright? Stability. Very important. Okay? Let's further. And alright. So, we have bow and stern. Alright. Bow. Excuse me. Excuse. Bow is the front part of the ship. Alright. Excuse. And the stern is the rear part of the ship, where the propeller and the rudder are located. Alright. So, bow, the front. The stern, the back. Wherein the propeller and the rudder are located. Bow, wherein the hull and everything in front is located here. Alright. Oh, we're done. Oh my. So we have now a short quiz. Okay? So, um, let's have a short quiz. Just try to recall everything. But anyways, we will answer this one by one. Alright. So, for number one, short quiz. Alright. It says here, what type of cargo do bulk carriers primarily transport? Alright. Bulk cargo. All right, bulk carriers. What type of cargo do they transport? All right, for letter A, is it liquids? All right. Is it passengers? Next, is it unpacked dry goods? Or is it containers? So, what do you think, everyone, for the bulk carriers? All right, it's very fresh. We just discussed it this earlier. Yes, it's letter C. It's an unpacked dry goods, right? All right. So bulk carriers only carry or primarily transport unpacked dry goods. All right. Next. All right. Oil tankers. We discussed this last Monday. Are specially or specifically designed to transport what? All right. All right. I'm sorry. Let's go back here. Bulk carriers. Our answer was letter C, the unpacked dry goods. So what are those dry goods? We have grain, we have wheat or cereals, all right? We have iron or coal, all right? Those cement, of course, those are unpacked goods. Okay, next. For oil tankers, what do they carry? What do they transport? Is it grain? Is it crude oil and petroleum products? Is it cars? Or is it coal? It's letter B, of course. Oil tankers. Because this one, the grain, is for bulk. And for the cars, it's the pure car carrier type of vessel. And for the coal, since this is dry, it's bulk carrier. So, oil tankers carry or transport crude oil and petroleum products. Okay? Next. So, which type of ship typically has large open cargo holds with hatch covers? Oh, alright, right? I just discussed this earlier. Which type of vessel or which type of ship typically has large open cargo holds? Alright? But with hatch covers. So what is it? What type of ship? Is it oil tanker? Is it bulk carrier? Is it cruise ship? Or is it a container ship? Okay, the correct answer is letter B. Yes. Remember the hatch covers, which is watertight, okay, because it carries dry cargoes. So it's bulk carrier. Because oil tanker is, of course, liquid and gas. And for the cruise ship, what? It's a passenger. Okay? And for the container, all right, it has different, the cargo materials are packed, okay, individually. That's why it's called container. All right? Whether it's a grain, it's what, it's called container for as long as it is packed in one container. That's why it's called container ship. And all right, we have iron ore is a common cargo for which type of ship? Oh, all right. Is it oil tanker? Is it bulk carrier? Is it LNG? Is it a ro-ro ship? Roll on, roll off ship. So, the correct answer is B, of course. Iron ore. Together with the grains or with the cement, fertilizers, alright? Those are all dry materials. And when we say LNG, it's a liquid natural gas carrier. When we say a ro-ro ship, roll on, roll off, it's whether it's a there's a passenger on it and car also, but small type of vessel only. Okay, so next, okay, a crude oil is the main cargo. Okay, for which type of ship? Crude oil. Is it a bulk carrier? All right. Is it an oil tanker? Is it a chemical tanker? Or is it a general cargo? So what is the correct answer for this? It's, of course, by the name itself, crude oil tanker. Okay? A crude oil, what is a crude oil again? A crude oil is unrefined, okay, petroleum, or what you call not pure or not purified yet, okay? All right, crude oil, which is used for processing. All right, you will add crude oil to process different types of oil or gas, okay? Unpurified, unrefined. Okay. So next, we have bulk carriers. Okay. Bulk carriers are often associated with transporting materials like gasoline and diesel, a wheat and soybeans, and electronics and clothing, or a refrigerated goods. So, which one bulk carriers transports? Okay, it's letter B, because dry materials and unpacked. Okay, it should not gasoline and diesel because it's for oil tankers. And for the electronics and clothing, it's in a container or general cargo. And as well as the refrigerated goods for the reefer, they call it reefer. Okay? So reefer type of vessel. So bulk carriers are often associated with transporting materials like wheat and soybeans. Dry. Okay. So, we have oil tankers play a crucial or important role in the global transportation of what? Is it cement and fertilizers? Is it raw materials for plastics? Is it a finished automobiles or a liquefied natural gas? So, what oil tankers do or play? All right? Is it A, B, C, or D? What is the correct answer here? Letter B. Yes, it's correct. Raw materials for plastics. Okay? That's what oil tanker carries or role, okay? The role of an oil tankers, okay? Because they carry raw materials for plastics. Okay, next, okay. It says here that which type of ship, okay, is more likely to have reinforced double hulls for environmental protection. Double hulls, okay? Two layers, okay. Is it A, bulk carrier? B, is it oil tanker? C, for cargo liner? And D, for the fishing vessel? So, what do you think is the type of ship mostly have a reinforced double hulls? Of course, for environmental protection. It's letter B, of course, oil tanker. This type of vessel should have a two or double hulls. Why? In case of accidents, okay, if you are a single hull type of oil tanker, all right, whenever there's an accident or something happened, all right, there will be an oil spill, okay, because you are an oil tanker. So it should be reinforced with a double hulls. Okay? So next, okay, for the design. All right. The design of a bulk carrier's cargo holds is optimized for, okay, maintaining specific temperatures. Is it preventing leaks of liquid cargo? Is it an efficient loading and unloading of dry materials? Or accommodating passengers? So what do you think? All right, it's letter C, of course. Basically because bulk carriers carry, all right, dry materials. Okay. And this one, maintaining specific temperatures. Okay. This is a type of oil tanker. All right. That has a very important uh, very important rule or policy that for a cryogenic temperatures is used. When we say cryogenic, extremely cold temperature. Okay? So, this one is for oil tankers type of vessel. And preventing leaks of liquid cargo also. And for accommodating passengers, this is a cruise ship type of vessel. But for securing the dry materials, of course, it's bulk carrier, cargo holds. Okay? Next. Okay. The pumping systems on an oil tanker are essential for what? Okay. To keep the cargo dry or moving large volumes of liquid or providing ventilation to the cargo holds, and securing containers. All right. So what is the purpose of a pumping systems on an oil tanker? Basically, it is for providing ventilation to the cargo holds. Yes. Unlike for the bulk, it should be keeping the cargo dry. But for the oil tanker, it should be providing ventilation to the cargo holds because there are cargoes that temperatures should be maintained. Okay? Because you are carrying a liquid, a gas, and oil. Okay? So next, we have we have which type of ship? Okay, which is typically larger in size. Oh, there you go. A small bulk carrier or a very large crude carrier or VLCC. Which type of ship is typically larger in size? We're talking about the size. We're not talking about the weight. All right? We're talking about the size. Is it A, small bulk carrier, or the very large crude carrier? Of course, as we all know, small bulk carrier is, uh, from the name itself, it's small, right? And for the very large, for the VLCC, it's very large. So, well, it's very large crude carrier is typically larger in size, of course. All right. So, is it true or false? Okay. Both bulk carriers and oil tankers contribute significantly to international trade. Okay. Thus, bulk carrier and oil tankers are important, okay, to international trade. True or false? Of course, it's true. Both are important. Both contributes very important role in the global industry, okay, or to international trade. It's true. All right. For next, okay, bulk carriers are designed to carry, is it liquids, passengers, or dry? Yes, of course. I know very sure. I know that you learned something from our lesson. So it's, yes, it's C. Dry, of course. When we say bulk, it's dry. When we say passengers, it's cruise ship. When it's liquids, it's oil tankers. All right. Next. Oh, oil tankers are designed to carry, dry cargo, oil and similar liquids, and containers. Of course, I'm sure you know this. It's oil and similar liquids for oil tankers. All right, next we have, yes, which type of ship has a large? It has open spaces on deck, but with big covers. Okay, and the covers are watertight, or they also called it as hatch covers. Is it oil tanker or is it bulk carrier? Oh, it's of course bulk carrier. All right. And which type of ship has many pipes? Okay. And tanks visible on its deck. Okay. What do you think? Is it bulk or is it oil tanker? Many pipes. They have tanks and it's visible on its deck. Yes, it's oil tanker. Yes, it's oil tanker. And, all right, both, okay, bulk carriers and oil tankers are important for transporting goods around the world. Is it true? Is it correct? Or is it wrong? Is it false? Both bulk carriers and oil tankers, excuse me, are important for transporting goods around the world? Yes, of course. It's very important. It has its own role to portray. Okay? They have their own functions. They have their own reasons why they they are excuse me transporting goods, okay, for the entire world. All right. And it says here that what is the primary purpose of an oil tanker? What is it? Is it to transport dry cargo like grain and coal? Is it to transport liquid hydrocarbons like crude oil and petroleum products? Okay. Is it to transport containers? Or is it to transport passengers? So, of course, the answer is letter B, to transport liquid hydrocarbons. All right? Like crude oil and petroleum products. Yes, that is the primary purpose of an oil tanker. All right. And we have also, it says that which of the following is a key structural component unique or to oil tankers. Okay. Which is designed for stability and reducing sloshing of liquid cargo. All right. Which of the following is a key structural component unique to oil tankers? All right. Now, this one is designed for stability. Okay. And reducing sloshing of liquid cargo. So, is it the hatch covers? Is it the cargo holds? Is it the coffer dams? Or the bulbous bow? Alright. Which one is the key structural component? It's the coffer dams. Okay? Alright. So next, excuse. It says here that what unit is commonly used, all right, to measure the carrying capacity or the size of an oil tanker. Okay? So is it A, the TEU or the 20-foot equivalent unit? Is it the dead weight tonnage or the DWT, or another, the gross registered tonnage or the GRT, and lastly, the cubic meters. Alright, so what is the unit commonly used to measure the carrying capacity of an oil tanker? It's the dead weight tonnage, or we always see this, the DWT. Alright? That is the unit, alright, used to measure the carrying capacity size of an oil tanker. Alright? Next. Okay. What is the primary purpose of a bulk carrier? Yes, what do you think? Is it to transport refined petroleum products? We're talking about bulk, alright? Is it to transport large quantities of unpacked dry cargo? Is it to transport refrigerated goods or to transport vehicles? So, what is the correct answer? Yes, of course. It's the primary purpose of a bulk carrier is to transport large quantities of unpacked dry cargo. Because for this, letter A, it's oil tanker. And for letter C, a reefer type of vessel. And for letter D is the pure car carrier type of vessel. Alright. And we have here which structural feature, okay, is characteristic of bulk carriers and allows for efficient loading and unloading of dry cargo. So, which structural feature? Okay. Is it the manifolds? Is it the cargo pumps? Is it the large wide hatch openings or the double hull? So, which structural feature, alright, is the characteristic of bulk carriers? And it allows for efficient, for easy loading and unloading of cargo. So which one? Is it A? Is it B, C, or D? Yes, it's for letter C. The wide hatch openings. The large wide hatch openings. Okay, that is the structural feature of a bulk carrier to allow, alright, easy, efficient loading, faster loading, and unloading of the dry cargoes. Okay, so what's next? We have what term is often used to describe very large oil tankers. Very large. Yes, it's by the name itself. It's letter C. Okay, because this one is a Panamax, the Suez, handy size. Alright, very large. The term often used to describe very large oil tankers. Yes. Okay. Bulk carriers are typically designed with single or double bottoms. Okay? Is it A, single bottom, double bottom? It varies greatly and isn't a defining feature, or a triple bottom? So which one? Bulk carriers are typically designed with single or double bottoms. It's single bottom. All right. So next. So which type of vessel is generally larger in terms of dead weight tonnage? Is it a typical Handymax? Is it a typical Anframax? Is it they are generally the same size? Or it depends entirely on the specific vessels? So which type of vessel generally larger in terms? It's a typical Anframax oil tanker. Okay? Next. Oh, they're the same. All right. We have here also a short activity. Okay. All right. Additional, of course. So, what is the main difference, okay, in cargo containment between an oil tanker and a bulk carrier? What is the main difference? Okay. So, oil tankers use containers and bulk carriers use pallets. Or an oil tankers have cargo tanks and bulk carriers have cargo holds. Or oil tankers use refrigerated compartments. Oh. Or bulk carriers use open decks. And there is no significant difference. Well, oil tankers. What is the answer? And for the bulk carriers, it's letter. Yes, it's letter B. Because oil tankers have, of course, cargo tanks. And a bulk carrier have cargo holds. Alright? Okay, next. So, which of these is a typical piece of equipment found on an oil tanker for loading and unloading liquid cargo? So, does oil tanker have cranes? Does oil tanker have cargo pumps and pipelines? Do they have grab buckets? Or do they have conveyor belts? All right. So what does oil tanker used for loading and unloading liquid cargo? It should have, yes, it should have cargo pumps and pipelines, wherein this type of equipment are found in an oil tanker. Okay, used for loading and unloading liquid cargo. All right, and okay, it says here that a Panamax vessel, okay, refers to the maximum size that can fit through which famous waterway? Oh, by the name itself, you can right away answer this. Is it the Suez Canal? Is it the Strait of Malacca? Is it the Panama Canal? Or is it the English Channel? Of course, there is no need for you to think because of by the name itself, the Panamax-sized vessels is what famous waterway? It's Panama Canal. That's why it's called Panamax because it can fit in, alright, through the famous waterway, which is the Panama Canal. Okay. And now, for this, what is the primary function of the cofferdam in an oil tanker? So, is it A, to provide crew accommodation? No, because it should be what? Okay, another, to separate different cargo tanks or cargo from machinery spaces, preventing leakage. C, is it to store the fresh water? And D, to anchor the ship. So what is the primary purpose of a cofferdam? It's letter B, to separate different cargo tanks or cargo from machinery spaces and for preventing leakage. Okay? That is the primary function of a cofferdam in an oil tanker, of course. Okay. So, it says also here that which part of a bulk carrier is, all right, designed to be opened and closed repeatedly for cargo operations. So which one? All right, is it the engine room? Is it the bridge? Is it the hatch covers? Or is it the ballast tanks? All right, what part or which part of a bulk carrier that is designed to be opened and closed repeatedly for cargo operations? It is the hatch covers, all right? Because hatch covers is the one covering the cargo holds, all right? So, next. So, what does the WT stand for in relation to ship size? Is it the deep water tank? B, is it designated weight tonnage? Or C, the deadweight tonnage? And D, the docking weight transfer? So what does this DW stand for in relation to ship size? It's the deadweight tonnage. All right? It's not A, it's not B, it's not D. It's this one, the deadweight tonnage. Okay. So next, we have also which type of vessel is more likely to have multiple separate cargo holds with dedicated access. Okay, so there are multiple separate cargo holds. Is it oil tanker? Is it a bulk carrier? Is it a container ship or a passenger ferry? Okay, what type of vessel? Yes, it's the bulk carrier. All right. So there is a multiple. There's a separate cargo holds. All right. There's a hatch covers, a watertight hatch covers. Okay. So it's the bulk carrier. And next, the main propulsion, okay, system for both oil tankers and bulk carriers typically involves what? Large sails? Is it jet engines, a diesel engines and driving a propeller, or an electronic motors only? So, what is the main propulsion system for both the oil tankers and bulk carriers? Which one? It's the diesel engines and driving a propeller. Propulsion, the forward movement. All right. So next, what are the manifolds of an oil tanker used for? All right. Is it for steering the ship, connecting the ship's cargo pipelines to shore hoses for loading, unloading? Is it storing emergency equipment or controlling the engine speed? So, what is the correct answer for this? It's letter B. All right. Connecting the ship's cargo pipelines to shore hoses for loading and unloading. All right. Okay. So, next is which of this describes a large bulk carrier that can carry a very wide range of dry bulk commodities? Is it OBO, or the ore bulk oil carrier, the Cape size, the handy size, or the very large bulk carrier, or what we call it, the VLBC? So, which one carries a very large bulk cargoes? All right. What is the correct answer? It's the Cape size. All right. So, next. All right. This is an example of a container ship. This is not our topic, by the way. All right. Oh, we're done. Okay, okay. So, we have finished our lesson for today. And I hope you had um, learned something from me from our two types of vessels that was discussed last Monday, which is the oil tanker, and for today, which is the bulk carrier. So, and with short activities, and I hope you will learn something from it. Okay? So by next week, or no, for our 17th, for our 19th a week, all right, I will still continue to discuss about the different types of vessels, all right? We still have to finish about container type of vessel. We still have to discuss about the pure car carrier vessels and a cruise ship type of vessels, a reefer type, and I guess that's all about types of vessels and its parts, of course, and their functions and their different types of cargoes. All right. So for now, I will say goodbye to everyone and continue to study your lessons. All right. So I still have to um there's we only have a little time for our review, but maybe I can just discuss it for our 19th week. All right? So, bye for now, and I'll see you again after a week. So, this is again your teacher for today. I'm teacher Shelly for our Maritime English, week 17th, day 2. Bye, everyone!